Shake, rattle, roll. Ha! Are we good? We good? We good? All right. We good? All right. We good? We're good? All right. Cool. We're good? Cool. Sorry about that, everybody. It is really a very fickle beast right now. It's mind of its own, setting itself up. Thank you for coming back in. Thank you for working with it, because the connection is being really, really iffy right now. I just reset everything. We should be good. But going back into these aspects about the observing ourselves, becoming the observed and the self-observer. When I teach aspects of channeling to people, you are becoming the observed and the observer. So the observed becomes the channel. The observed becomes the download. You as the observer have to see that without the attachment of the aspects of humanity, the aspects of your ego or your identity, the things that will shut down your moving into the space that you need to move into, transitioning into the space that you need to move into, becoming stronger, becoming faster, becoming better. All of these things require removing the old weights, removing the old aspects of ourselves. One of the things that I notice a lot when I'm doing consultations and I'm doing sessions is even ones that have been on their path for a while, even the ones that have been on their path for a while now, are now seeming a sense of being stuck. And it's usually the same things that pop up when they're getting stuck. It's always the aspects of shadow work, the aspects of a trauma that they haven't dealt with, or lack thereof dealing with these aspects, or actually being able to see these aspects as blockages. That's based upon attachment. Attachment is an addiction. Attachment is linked to your aspects of addiction. Always taking the escape route to have control, a false sense of control that you're doing what you want, but in actuality, you're just doing what you can. You're doing what you can inside that space. You're doing what you can. You're doing what you can at your mom's house. You're doing what you can at your homeboy house. You're doing what you can at your homegirl house. You're doing just enough to get by. That's this invisible elephant that's in the room when it comes to you actually doing real fucking work. This is one of those elephants that are within the room when you're actually not doing the work that you need to be doing. You're not tapped in. You're not tapped in as much as you thought you were tapped in. One of the things that I always push is you're looking for the middle point. You're looking for the middle point. You're not looking for one side or the other. You're not looking for, on this side, I need to be pro-black, and on this side, because they're anti-white. They're against us. If they were against you, if I'm truly against you, why do I stress so much to have your attachment to me? Why would I set that tone? You feel me? It's the manipulation of your emotion. It's the manipulation of your light, the light that they have in reflection based upon behavior. Remember, everything down to this level is on a devolved sense. Everything down here, when I explained last week, those ciphers of light, that lowest cipher of light, this is Kether, this lower level. When you look at the Kabbalah, you look at Kether, that lower level earth, this is that lowest body of light. It constantly has to it constantly has to be in a state of resetting itself. It's attached to you to reset itself. So when we make that thought process, think about what you're attached to. Think about the elements that are within your mind that if you don't do the work, think about what you become attached to. You start emancipating the things, your wants and needs, and then you want to set an intention, and then not realizing that if I set my intention based in a certain narrative in my mind, if my mind is to set an intention, but my mindset or everything that's going to feed my intention or cultivate my intention is still based upon the trauma, still based upon attachments, how can I truly discipline myself? attachment becomes an addiction. Attachment is attached to the attachment, that sense of control or this false sense of control, that's the addiction. So you manipulate things based on the lower level, as opposed to the connection to everything. If I realizing that I'm connected to everything in my space, I set everything in my space. I have the boundary set for my space. So everything in my space right now is connected to me. Everything in my space is connected to me. Even this candle that's going off crazy right now. Everything in my space is connected to me. If I sit here and I do a meditation and I set a metronome or I set a beat, I set music, I set a tone, when I'm sitting in that space and I'm going like this, I'm stilling my breath, I'm controlling my breathing, I'm controlling my heart rate, I'm syncing myself to everything that's within my space. I'm connected naturally to everything that's within my space. So everything in my space, I can be intimate with. We're going to get deep into these aspects of becoming intimate with the energy, understanding the true intimacy of that intimacy with your power and embracing your power. Releasing this false aspect of control based on one side, based on this part of a trauma not being dealt with or not dealing with this trauma. These are key aspects that are within shadow work, within actually doing your shadow work. Because as you're doing your shadow work, remember, shifting from that bad or good to positive and negative. So if I set my tone in my narrative of what I'm doing next, I must be open and become vulnerable to the space, to how it's going to inevitably change. So if I sit here and say, take everything from around me that's no longer serving me in a purpose, and then 3 days I get in an argument at my job. And I lose my job. I get in an argument with my mom, my mother, and she don't want to talk to me. I get in an argument with somebody that I knew for years, and now they don't want to rock with me anymore. I have to accept that. It seems in a negative aspect, but I asked for that to happen. I set the tone for that to happen. I must accept that tone. This is how we tap in. This is that key aspect of tapping into that energy. Coming in, preach, because it was kind of it was it was a very challenging aspect. I had to reset the Wi-Fi. That's all that was. But you're taking yourself into this aspect of what you're attached to, what you're trying to navigate the control of something else. And this happens a lot. I think about the old heads. Because there's clearly a new wave of there's clearly a new wave of the new gods, the new pages, the new titans in that level, in that aspect, that are challenging which is supposed to happen. You're supposed to challenge the old energy. If you're parented by the old energy, and I'm saying, this is my energy, this is what I am right now, as I come forward, anything that's meant to be on this frequency is going to be on this frequency based on that challenge. So me challenging myself to come to this level, be in this space, move the way that I move, that's in that overall space, I'm releasing from the attachments that will give me a handicap. A lot of people are spiritually handicapped. You get to a point based on, I read 90 books, and I got all my crystals, and I got all my stones, and I got all my amulets, I got all my pieces, but shit still ain't going the way I want it to go. Why are you looking for want and need? It's going exactly how it needs to go. You must be able to observe what is happening without the emotion. In order to be able to observe it, to be the self-observed and the observer, you must take yourself out of the aspect by acknowledging those eyes. What part of you does not like what's going on? Is it your identity? The thing that your doppelganger, the other half of yourself, your ego? Or is it truly something in your subconscious mind? Because your subconscious mind accepts anything that goes into it. Your subconscious is that friend that don't give a fuck, that accept anything that you put into it. That's what your subconscious is. Your subconscious is that ultimate. Your subconscious is the ultimate intimate connection with your power. It's ultimately connected to your power. And it needs you to program it. But whatever's in my subconscious, and I'm questioning it now, if I'm questioning the attachment to myself now, I'm like, you know what? I don't need that anymore. My home, that it just doesn't fit you. I'm in a space right now where I was in a space for like the last couple of weeks where I'm literally having conversations, and all my conversations start and end the same. And I'm talking about like the actual personal aspects of conversations. They're actually starting to begin and end the same. And we're always saying the same thing based on the thought process of, man, you ever looked at your like Facebook page? You notice like we just don't be around people and be like, you know they're there, but you really don't have anything to say to them. You really, it's not that you're mad, upset, have any ill intent against them. It's just that you're now in a space and you're like, I don't see myself going over there. I don't see myself talking to them. I don't see myself doing these things anymore because the attachment is no longer prevalent in your life. The more you become intimately in tune with your power, this is that first weight. This is that first hump. The more you become intimately in tune with your power, your connection to everything, understanding your connection to everything, it takes you away from needing to attach to anything. This false sense of power, this false sense of ownership. That is one of the biggest. This is one of the biggest things that I've been noticed, and I'm noticing when it comes to stating the claim that I was a king or a queen. We are the originals. We used to run everything. We did this, and this. When did you stop running everything? If in the scriptures and what we write down, Gnostic texts, Nag Hammadi scriptures, the Emerald tablets, all set the tone of the mind is just looking at the humanity. The first law, the mind is all in the universe is mental. That means everything that's within me becomes a reflection. Everything outside of me is a reflection. So if there's conflict outside of me that resonates with me, I have to find or become that scientist and look within myself and see why it's making me feel a certain type of way. Which one of the eyes in me are feeling some type of way about this? If it's my identity based on being Black power, I'm pro-Black, I'm this, and this, and it's my identity, I'm still attached to a trauma somewhere. If it's my subconscious, it's just a simple understanding to reprogram. This is the observation aspect of becoming more in tune with your power. I put up a picture I did the Breonna Taylor, condolences to it. Like, that's a fucked up thing that happened. But being in a higher state of space, I have to see it as what it is. It's a connection to energy. That's what it plays out as. Every ritual is meant to pull power. So instead of me allowing my energy to further deify this space or bring this power down so I can't use it, why don't I just go grab some reverse candles? I went and grabbed a reverse candle to that. And the first thing that I said when I meditated in front of it was, all the energy, all rituals, banish them shits. Let me get that energy. And that shit been burning over there like fucking crazy. Everything that I've set around me in my space is in tune to me. So why would I allow, if I know that I'm pulling down power because my head fucking throbbing like a motherfucker, I'm pulling down that energy. That energy is potent. That energy is ready to use. The best way for me to use it is to further take myself to another level. To show that I'm untouched, to show that I'm truly untouchable, to show that inside of my mindset that I'm truly in an untouchable state, to denounce the aspects of the control, the need to be attached to the aspects of being humanity. They want to call me a savage? Shit, I'm gonna be a fucking savage. I think one of the biggest things that happened during during being prisoners of war was we fought so hard to become humane. It was needed at that point in time to build that energy in that space. But at this point in time, why would you not be the monster that you're supposed to be? Why would you not tap into your pure chaos? Not the intellectual aspect of like, yo, I got an ankh, I got crystals, I got stones. But why wouldn't I set my tone to something higher? Because if I can repeatedly say, if I can regurgitate why I'm something, that means that space is, I'm attached to it in some way. I've grown an attachment to it. I've grown humanity to it. I've grown to be able to argue about it, to become argumentative, to debate about it, to set a tone. And I fall into the aspect of the trend. I fall into the aspect of trends, and this is what this is, and this is what this ain't. This is what you should be doing, and this is what you shouldn't be doing. I'm doing pointless debates, throwing my energy around, trying to manipulate situations for other people to connect to me. It shows you how powerless. It shows you your lack of control and discipline. When you come into a sense of your connection, this is when you're growing in your discipline. Your discipline to do what the fuck you want. Because doing what the fuck you want is different than doing what the fuck you can. Doing what the fuck you can means that there's the external status. The external status quo is giving you a reason to do what the fuck you want. Doing what the fuck you can. So if I go into a club and shoot a bunch of black people, not me, but them, and they shoot down a bunch of black people, okay, now I got a reason to riot. Let me go attach myself to this aspect of a riot. Let me go attach myself to something so I can say that I'm doing something, that I'm controlling something, that I'm in power. But in reality, you're just giving your power away. Let me get in this argument, and this argument is challenging me to think a different way, but I'm stuck within that is initiating an emotional response. It's resonating with me, and the only thing that I have to win this argument is what I already know. Let me regurgitate and transfer my energy through what I already know, through the information that I've already become comfortable with. You need that aspect of discomfort. You need that discomfort. This Monday, I started going back to the gym this Monday. Since Monday till now, I had baby arms. My arms, like, shit was tight. I couldn't move my shits any lower than, like, I was basically every time I looked up, I was flexing. But I know I needed that aspect to grow me into the aspect of becoming intimate with myself and understanding why. When you become attached, it's an addiction. The attachment becomes an addiction. So you're addicted to friends and family members needing you. So that gives you your sense of independence. So you're addicted to being independent. So now you're addicted to being independent. You're addicted to the byproducts. So you're not streaming. So now your energy has to keep coming through that space. Man, my mom was poor. My dad was poor. My sister, my family was all poor. And now I'm coming into some money. So now I'm bringing all these people on. Think about the aspect of why you're doing it. Set the tone of why you're doing it. If everything that you did to get to the space that you are at now, and you did this work, you know your value, you know your validation, why do you need this external validation to tell you that you've made it? Based on a narrative of somebody telling you when you make it, you bought your mother a house. I've been there. I did that. I bought my mother a house. My mother let my aunts get into her ear, and then she put a mortgage on the house. So now she's back to renting a house. I could have easily got upset and argued and been mad, but I was like, oh. That was one of those moments in my time when I was working deep in my shadow works of myself. The only reason that I wanted to do it, or I felt the need to do it, is because I was attached to trying to hold the control or not forgiving myself for being 5 years old and seeing my moms and my pops get into it and not being able to do anything, feeling powerless. So in my mind, I burrowed into my subconscious, I'm never going to be that weak again. So everything that I did was through that 5-year-old mindset, the developmental aspects of when I was 5 years old. That's shadow work. Going back to these spaces where the trauma was initiated or where that span of trauma was, and actually working out through those spaces, bringing them to a conclusion and bringing yourself into forgiveness, understanding that you are not in a space to be able to do anything. That's the same way we take these aspects what we're looking at now. Because it doesn't matter how much information you get, you can tell when somebody's really, you don't know if you're doing the work until you're challenged about your fucking works. So everything can be going fine and dandy. In the beginning, when motherfuckers come into their awakeness and come into their awareness, everything's all fine and dandy. They didn't went and got some stones. They didn't went and got an ankh. They didn't went and got a couple candles. Then they started setting intentions and all this good shit. But then the real work happens. That next challenge, that next level's hit up. They want more. They want to pull down more energy. They want to do more things. If I'm attached to things I can't see through the addictions, I'm not growing my disciplines. I meditated for a couple of weeks. I feel good that I meditated and I did the first aspects of meditation, intellectual aspect. I did the first aspects of building my altar. I did the first aspects of doing these works. And I was getting it was going good. It was going good. It was real positive for me. But then when I kept doing it, after a while, it started slowing down. My season slowed down. Shit started coming up. When I started getting my information, I wanted to go tell my mother and go tell my mother and tell my sisters, this is what we need to do. We need to eat this way and do this way and be this way. And it wasn't giving me the result of what I did for myself. So my attachments were being exposed. You have to allow that what you were attached to and living in based on your identity to actually fall to the fucking floor. You need it to fall away. That's the way you see your true self. Your true self is going to be the villain to everything that you once saw that was humane. Everything that you saw that was on a moral compassing. These things within that space, within that mindset, those are the things that have to fall the fuck away. You have to be able to acknowledge these things in order to be able to become truly enlightened. Or else you're going to be stuck in parameters where you may have came up to a certain level of frequency, and since you did not deal with the things that were on those lower levels, you're going to be feeding everything on those lower levels. That's why people can get high as hell in their spirituality on the intellectual aspect, but they're still tethered to ideals and traumas and things they haven't dealt with. They're still attached to their handicaps. They're still attached to this box of handicaps that they want to carry around with them. I'm going to carry this box of my pain around. And then instead of me actually dealing with it, I now deify it. Or I find a loophole within my growth. So I'll deify it. And this goes into aspects of, this is the aspect of worshiping versus becoming. Every energy that you work with, you are becoming. You're not going to be worshiping it. You are worshiping it based upon, people will put that worship based upon attachment. I don't want to become, I can't, it's this, and this. It's the same thought process. This is that thought process that a lot of people get stuck in when they're actually starting to do their real work. Because it didn't give them the necessary result. It didn't happen the way they thought it would happen. I thought it was going to bring me some money. It's funny, every time I go into when I go into the crystal shop every Friday, I go there almost every Friday morning, every Thursday throughout the week. I see the same people going there. I always see different people going there for the same reasons. I always see the same people going there for the same fucking reasons. And then they be upset. I've had conversations with them outside the fucking store. They be upset as fuck. Yo, I got that candle and it didn't fucking work. Oh, I'm sorry. Why didn't it work? Man, that's supposed to be a money candle, and I lit the candle, and the only thing that came up and happened in my fucking life was like my baby mother came up into the picture. She needed more money. Somebody needed to borrow this, so I was like, I ain't got no money. But all these aspects that you're attached to, I explained it to a brother today. All the aspects that you are attached to, that's where your energy is going. You must address where your energy is going before you can even get to the new level of your new energy. To become intimately in tune with yourself, you have to acknowledge the things that you are attached to based upon the addiction narrative. A lot of people are addicted to being in a certain light or being in the aspects of getting what they got based on the trauma. It's not cute anymore. At this point in time, the biggest "this is the way I am" is saying that we were being oppressed for 400 years. The biggest "this is the way I am" is saying to yourself that we've been oppressed for 400 years. That's the biggest. This is the reason the way I am. This is the reason I am the way that I am. Because it's going to naturally kick out every bit of information that you get on why this shit was set the way the fuck it was set up. Why it came in, why it happened. You won't be able to read no creation story without looking into it. You won't be able to look into the information that you need to look into because your mind is still attached to the fucking pain. Somebody at this point in time, it's almost illogical to be upset and say that Jesus isn't real. It's almost illogical. It's damn near illogical. Because every master teacher has told you what the aspect of Jesus was. Every master teacher has told you what the aspect of Jesus was, the Christos energy. From Bobby Emmett, Brother Panic, to Phil Valentine, they've told us these things. So you saying that it isn't real at a point in time, how can you create the Christos? How can you embrace your Christos energy if you're not intimately involved with your own fucking energy? Because you're walking away from, you leaving your energy on the fucking table because you stuck on an attachment based on pain. You stuck on an attachment based on, oh, that's what I need to be doing because of this, this, and this. Because they said that that's the problem with our people, man. We still stuck in that damn Bible. It's not that they're not stuck in it. On one way, I can see how you're saying they're stuck in it. But on the other end, it's like, why are they stuck in it? There must be a reason that they're attached to it. There must be a reason for that attachment. Until I understand that attachment or my lack of attachment, why can I seem to connect to nothing else? Why can I bring myself into that space? Like, you know what? Maybe I need to pay attention to it this way. Maybe I need to look at it from a different angle. Maybe I need to allow myself to see it beyond how it's being presented to me. Because you can go anywhere in New Orleans right fucking now. You can go anywhere on the fucking islands right now where they're using the fucking book, everything from the book of stuff. My grandmother literally transcribed and took that book, took the Bible, and literally wrote in every aspect of the book and broke it down into spell work. So you can't say that's the problem without giving true addressing to the problem. It becomes an asinine aspect to attach to that thought process because it leaves you addicted to the argument or addicted to one side of yourself. So then it doesn't matter how much energy you want to bring into yourself or the higher levels of understanding because you're going to keep going back to that same aspect. Understand the fucking connections. You have to remove that top layer of the hurt. I love it. You have to remove them layers off the top to get down to that real shit. But if I'm sitting here, I'm like, nah, I can't do this because of this, or I can't explain this, I don't understand this, then understand your shit, become connected with it. It's a difference between I pick up a book and I read a couple pages and now I have the book, I can regurgitate information. But it's a whole different aspect when I become intimately involved with the book, when I become intimately involved with the energy, when I remove myself from the human paradigm of that inherently flawed aspect of grieving. Like, nah, I can't see myself doing that, because that's where your imagination comes from. That's when you start visualization. Instead, you find the loophole. And I'm a deify the Orishas. I'm a keep them in their state of where they're at. They're not there anymore. I know that, nigga, they don't give a fuck. They're not there anymore. They're not to be used in that manner. At this point in time, you just keep giving them your same fucking energy. You got them in the same fucking space. So now they're like, all right, cool, let's just sit here and, nigga, every time someone gets angry, they don't call out our name. Cool. You give them your energy. Because you're failing to separate from the aspects in your life that do not allow you to grow. The excuse of, that's my sister, that's my brother, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's my homie. Once again, once you can break that shit down to a degenerative state where you can be like, that's my sister or that's my brother, but why do you keep fucking with them if they keep doing the same shit? Because it's my brother. Family supports each other. So you're going to support a negative aspect and then wonder why your life is going the way that it's going. Because you're giving yourself this because think about what you're attached to. So it doesn't matter how much energy you bring in, you raise up, how much energy you invoke, how many candles you light, you still got that handicap getting that energy. Because every time you invoke, you sit there and meditate and you bring yourself to peace, and then you tell the universe, oh, universe, oh, universe, oh, universe, take away shit that doesn't serve me anymore. And then your cousin come up again, and them motherfuckers either got kicked out their fucking place or the motherfucker in jail, and then you go help them. Nigga, that's your fucking sign. That's being removed from you. Set your boundary. Why are they there? Why are they there? What happened? Why do they keep ending up in the same space? Instead of taking this route of self-loathing, not the route of self-loathing, or that route of self-sabotage. At this point in time for myself, the things that I'm doing, the level of energy that I use on a regular basis of doing the things that I do, I can't allow any distractions that are going to take me off of my course. I can't be like, yo, that I'm gonna let that happen. No, I can't allow it. This takes you into that space for yourself where you have to really this is when you're really going to be checking yourself. You really are going to be checking yourself. This is one of the aspects when you're checking yourself within your shadow work. It doesn't matter how many books you sitting there reading every fucking day. You can read every book that you want. You can order books every fucking day. Get my hat, my top hat hard as hell. You can sit there literally every single day of the fucking week. Read every book that you want to read. Meditate as much as you want. Set your intentions, write your petitions, and do all these aspects that you want. You can do this as much as you want. But if you're not allowing the separation and the detachment to happen as it happens so you can become more in alignment with your power, what are you really doing? How can you become intimate with your power? Think about it like this. Think about your energy like this is the exercise I give people. Think about your energy like this. Would you want to walk in on your parents naked? How would you feel if your parents, your mom, your sister, brother, somebody walked in on you naked while you was in there getting it in? You was becoming intimate with yourself. You were being intimate. How would you feel? You feel out of place like a motherfucker. Apply that same thought process to what you're doing now. I'm in a space where if I'm doing business with you, if I'm not building something with you, if we're not having conversations, even the conversations that I have on a normal basis back for sharing information is different. That's just the whole aspect of me being connected to myself. The more I become connected to myself, the more I become in sync with myself, the less of a need that I need for something to validate what I am, validate what I'm doing. That's what happens a lot of times for a lot of people. Like, you can go through a whole space in your mind. You go through a whole fucking space in your mind. Turn that up. You can go through a whole space in your mind, a whole space in your head, and say, okay, I'm doing this now, I'm doing this now, I'm doing this now. I got to discipline myself to do all of these things. As you're doing these, as you're working on your disciplines, from meditation, doing your shadow work, the things that are coming up are supposed to come up. Don't get stuck in the glamour. Stop getting stuck in this glamour of somebody, because it's a true statement, but it's meant to be on your level of your consciousness, your awareness. You get a message, I can get a message and speak it, and 7 different people gonna hear that shit differently. It's based on their level of consciousness. So if somebody says everything from new earth energy, karmic energy is different, these aspects are different, you can feel the wave of the energy, you feel that shift, whatever it is. Don't look for an external status. Don't look for the external and be like, oh, I don't feel like that, so I guess I didn't get it, or it's not really happening. Look for how it's changing shit that's in your space, in your life. Because you'll miss the whole fucking wave sitting there being like, I went over here because I didn't expect it to happen. This is you putting your energy into shit that no longer serves a purpose to you at this higher state of mind. That's one of the biggest things that happens to a lot of people. They keep trying to put their energy into lower level spaces. I can sit here all fucking day. That's like the first half of my aspects of me coming into my awareness was when I literally like 2011, when I started coming into my space. After 2011, around 2015, that's when everything fucking hit. And it was not the picture that in my mind at that point in time, based upon my identity, it was going to be anything's better than this. I was in that mindset at that point in time. I was like, anything can be better than this, but that shit got fucking worse. My shit got fucking horrible. I lost everything from my job, my crib, everything. I'm back and forth from hotels or sneaking in fucking abandoned buildings and shit, trying to survive in my space, and what I was finding out is like the more and more I was trying to survive, the harder, the more heavier the shit got, because I was holding on to old shit. I remember literally walking around with all of my fucking shit in a fucking basket or in bags, and trying to carry all of these fucking bags and carry shoes and carry all this shit. But in reality, I was like, nigga, do I really need all these fucking shoes? I can't wear them where I used to wear these, where I used to make my prints with these shoes. I'm no longer making those fucking prints. So why am I attached to these fucking shoes? Let me go back to a time, oh, I didn't have shoes, I didn't have this. That bullshit ass narrative in my mind where I was thinking like, yo, I never had it, so now that I can get it, I'm gonna get it. Now that I get it, now that I got it, I'm gonna keep getting it. Just because you can go for it does not mean that you should go for it. Because you're gonna be setting up, all you're doing is setting up later thought forms that are going to be fed upon based upon your rising. Remember, whatever you taking into that fucking black hole, whatever you taking into that abyss, that's the shit you got to fucking deal with first. Because it's closest to your fucking heart. Those are those burdens that be on your fucking heart. True connection is the intimacy with your power. How intimate are you with your power? How intimately do you know yourself? How intimately have you accepted yourself? How intimately have you validated yourself into that tone, setting that tone, not based on that angry consciousness. Nigga, I'm a king and I'm gonna do this, and this, and da 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 da. I need a real queen that wear hair real. Meanwhile, niggas out here getting fucking, niggas are paying $2,000 to $3,000 to $3,000 to get a fucking hairstyle like mine on top of their head. Meanwhile, you subject yourself to the lowest level of the byproduct. You attach to the byproduct. You attach to the fear. You attach to the narrative that you feel that you're needed or you're helping something. But in reality, all you're doing is slowing down your fucking growth. One of the biggest things for me, I had to realize was allow it to happen. One of the biggest things for me in biggest things in my fucking shadow work was allowing shit to fucking happen. The biggest thing for us in a lot of our shadow works is allowing things to fucking happen. I had the habit. I had the addiction that just because I was in a good space, I was time to help others. But the way that I was helping them was based on the mundane byproduct. It was based basically on the byproduct. Instead of teaching them how to make money, I was giving them money. Instead of giving them the aspects of how to get their place and get their self in order, I was letting them stay at my house. I was letting them stay at my crib. I was letting them eat my food. I was feeding them. I was clothing them. I was doing all of these things. Even when it came into aspects of relationships, I was doing this same fucking narrative. And then in my mind, I thought, I was like, as long as I can do all of these things for them, they ain't got to worry about it. Then they can work on themselves. That was my intention in my mind. But I didn't set that intent. That was the intention that was within my mind to work to go forward. But I never made that. I never put that into play. I never said it. It was always just an expected variable. If you ain't got to worry about how the fuck you eating, you ain't got to worry about how you getting back and forth, you ain't got to worry about lights and electricity, and then I expect you to get yourself in order. But I didn't set that fucking boundary. So when the slow season hit and my money wasn't as large and I was having to be more frugal, that's when everything would change. That's when the conversations would change. When my car would mess the fuck up, that's when my fucking shit would change. The conversations were different. The gatherings were different. All of these aspects started changing. And then I would get upset at the situation. So I'll be fucking with niggas. Niggas do shit like this all the fucking time. I can't deal with these fucking niggas, man. Can't deal with these fucking bum ass bitches. I can't deal with this shit. These niggas out here running around doing the same bullshit every fucking day, man. I'm trying to help them put them on. No, the fuck I wasn't. I had to accept that to myself. No, the fuck I wasn't. I was addicted to my ability to have my independence. I was addicted to my independence. I was attached to my independence. I was attached to my ability to do something. I was attached to the conduit of having the control to do what I can. But when it came to do what I truly wanted, I cannot be intimately connected to the aspects of my true power. Now, fast forward to this space right here. I'm intimately in tune with my power. I understand myself more. I understand that I understand because I don't need an external validation of what I am. Everything outside of me simply reinforces me. Everything outside of me simply reinforces the abilities that I am. Everything outside of me, I have the understanding that everything outside of me is a reflection of me. So if I do not want to be reflected in that light, I must remove the conduit or the tether or the attachment of what that is in my life. I have to remove that in order for me to go forward. If I'm not moving forward, what am I doing? It doesn't matter if I'm sitting here and it took me a total of 4 years to launch everything that I do now. It took 4 years. Whether I could literally I see the reflections of others in their mindset that are still talking about launching or doing something. It took me a total of 4 years of the physical aspect to the physical property of what I'm doing, but it took over understanding the last 35 years to even get to this point. It took understanding those 35 years to actually be within this space, to be in the alignment that I'm in, to be in the position that I'm in, to remove all of the handicaps, to allow those things to fall away. That shit hurt. That shit hurt at points in time because you're losing parts of your identity. The more your ego doesn't have more to feed on, and the more you're changing yourself, the more uncomfortable you're going to get. The more overworked, you're going to stop overworking your mind because you're stilling your mind. You're learning how to discipline your heart rate. You're learning how to become in sync with the things around you. You're learning how to say, that's not me anymore. I have to remove it. That's not me anymore. I have to remove it. I may not know what I am right now, but I know that's not me. If it keeps showing up, that means there's an aspect within that I have to understand before I move forward. And I can accept that and I can move on. I can become intimately in tune with myself. Becoming intimately in tune with myself to that level, to that ability, to unlock the higher aspects of myself. Literally setting the challenge and setting my goal that I had to become an entirely different state of mind, state of body, state of spirit, state of soul, state of every aspect of myself. Acknowledging those eyes, the observation of the eyes of myself, and knowing that they all had to be fucking changed in order for me to be within this space. That is the ultimate aspect of you coming into your enlightenment. You're one of your many enlightenments. It's not going to be this phase where, okay, I'm enlightened, now I can stop. No, you got to keep going. Because you're pulling down more and more energy. Your energy, you're now that you've learned about your power, now that you've learned your power in truth, now that you're using your power in truth, now you must keep yourself charged. You must keep, because you're going to get to a point in time where you realize you ain't even fucking here. You projecting your energy into this body. I project my energy into this body. When I lay down, when I meditate, I'm going. I'm off somewhere. And then this goes into the aspect of understanding when you're getting the information that you're getting based on your level of consciousness, based on your level of where you're at in your mind and your mentality, where you're at, based on your connection, your intimacy with yourself, that's the information you're going to get. So if you getting information, if you're getting information to hustle, grind, and make money, you ain't got to the next. You may have not gotten to the next piece yet. Because when you get to the higher level, it's not about the money, it's about your energy being in alignment. I already know that I'm wealthy. I know that I'm wealthy. I know that I'm prosperous. I know that I'm abundant. I know that these are my energies. So I have to keep these energies in balance. I don't have to worry about the byproduct because I know I ain't got to worry about the byproduct because I know as long as I'm working on these gifts right here that I have, my shit always going to come. I have to remove myself from the attachment of feeling that I need something to prove something to somebody, because that's what that shit boils down to. It boils down to you trying to prove to yourself, but doing the same shit to get what you needed to get. You feed your addictions. You feed your attachments. Whenever you're feeling that it's not happening, you keep going further and further back. You can set yourself up to go right back to where the fuck you started at and not even realize, why the fuck am I there? Why the fuck how did I get here? I should be over there somewhere, but I'm here. Nothing around me even looks familiar anymore. Nothing around me relates to me anymore. That's literally how it's like waking up in somebody else's house for the first time. Best example I can use. It's like waking up in somebody's house for the first time. It's like going over to your home. It's like going over to your girl house for the first time and not being able to pee or fart or take a shit because you knew there. It's like going over to your nigga house for the first time and that little bitty aspect then you make you so you I don't want to fart. I don't want to fart while I'm over here. That's you attach to the addiction of staying within a certain line. But then after a while, when you become more intimate, you farting all over the place. You pissing with the bathroom door open because you're in another set of intimacy. You're intimate with the masculine aspect of yourself. You're intimate with the feminine aspect of yourself. When you see down here on this level, the things that are going to distract you is the definition of being that the definition or the thought that becomes the definition, that becomes the conduit, that becomes the distraction, or becomes rather not the distraction, but it becomes the conspiracy. It becomes, these are the aspects that are the conspiracies. The conspiracy theories or the agendas. You created the fucking agenda. You created the aspects for the agenda to even exist. Since you are the creator, since you are the original, that means you created the aspects for it to exist. By you not accepting it, by that you not understanding your connection to everything and denying your connection to everything and becoming attached to one side or the other, yeah, this is all me, I'm gonna do this. That sounds just like the Bible people and motherfuckers will sit there and say they always want to choose this side or choose this part or choose that part, whatever works for them. They doing what they're supposed to fucking do. The only reason that you can't accept because you ain't doing what the fuck you need to supposed to do. If it don't fade, if it ain't you, it ain't you. Why does it matter? If it's not you, then why are you stuck on it? If it's resonating with you, then find the reason within inside yourself to end up dealing with it. If it doesn't resonate with you, then don't deal with it. Then it's not something that has to deal with you. Learn the energy within it and use it for your own gain. Feeling lost, feeling alone, it's going to get better. It's going to get even more lost and alone because you need the lost and alone. You need the solitude and the isolation actually to grow. You can't grow. You can't grow in that's like me saying, all right, cool, I got this flower pot over here and I'm going to put this tree, I'm going to start growing in there, but leaving it in that pot. You need the isolation. You need the isolation. You need the alone time. What are you doing with the alone time? Are you becoming intimate with yourself in the alone time? Are you steady trying to bring something into that alone time with you? That's one of the scariest aspects that it comes to a lot of people when they actually need the alone time. They can't respect, they can't accept when things happen because they can't look for the negatives, the positives within those negatives, or the things that are served them within the negatives. That's like if right now, if it started raining down hard as hell outside, I could be upset. Oh shit, it's raining. Instead of me looking at it as, oh, this is a good time to read that book I've been meaning to read. Oh, this is a good time to give me some rest. Oh, it's raining outside. It's a good time for me to clean up my crib. Rather than looking at it like, damn, man, I wanted to go out and stunt because you attached on being seen a certain way. A lot of us get attached on being seen a certain way. So when that certain way of being seen gets what's that word? I'm trying to think of this word. When that certain way gets challenged based on our image, then we looking like, I don't know what I am, or I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know why I can't get away from this aspect of being seen this way. I don't know why I'm trying to keep the peace for others. I don't know why I'm trying to keep myself in that space. You know why. Sit down in that solitude and find out why. You need that alone time. You need that time to yourself to actually be able to self-reflect. Because self-reflection is in the internal aspects of self. It sounds nice to be able to sit there, okay, cool, I read this and I read this book. Okay, so I got this understanding, I got this information. Now let me start. Now I got the information. Now what are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? What are you doing now that you have the chance to create based upon the chaos? What are you doing with it? Now that you're in this space where it's the chaos, what do you have to invest into it? Instead of another speech, instead of another conversation about some shit that really don't do anything. That's a thought process when you're moving forward and doing what the fuck you really need to be doing. Setting your tone, setting your space, healing yourself. Healing is not going to be in this aspect of letting things go and I'm just going to let life go and I'm just going to let it go the way it needs to go. No, healing is actually allowing yourself to be within that space and actually learn yourself. Being face to face with yourself. Being like, yo, I got to do this or this, and I really got to do this work. I really got to make that separation. I really don't need to answer that phone call. I really don't need to answer that text message. I really don't want to hear this argument and set the tone like, okay, because at the end of the day, it's only going to be one or two things. If I'm sitting there within a conversation with somebody and they're giving me the same thing that they've always given me around the same point in time, I'm always going to ask, so are you going to leave? Or are you going to stay? You ain't listening. I am listening. I'm giving you you have two options. Either you're going to stay and learn something or step away and learn something. That decision is based on you, not on anybody else. Stop emancipating your distresses onto others. Stop emancipating your needs onto others. You emancipate all of your energy into your job to get a paycheck. But the moment that the job is not shaped up the way that slow season hit, now you upset. They were only meant to pay you based on the wage, based on an hourly algorithm anyway. What you do with your money is what you do with your money. What you do with your energy is what you're supposed to do with energy. Instead of sitting there waiting for somebody to, because in the reality of it is, someone can say COVID-19 being attached to the narrative of the struggle, whatever it is, can say COVID-19 made me lose my job in my crib. When in reality, if COVID-19 didn't get hit and you got fired, you still would have lost your crib. If COVID-19 didn't hit and you still got fired, you still would have lost your house. I can feel you on the aspect of looking at an external factor to be the thing that shuts you down. But in reality, like, you would have lost your crib anyway, because you didn't do anything while everything was somewhat going above, your head was above the water. You didn't do anything to back yourself up. You didn't set that tone. You allowed that to become your crutch and your handicap. You expected something to happen. It didn't happen, and you didn't set your backup plan. That goes into the same aspect when you're thinking about setting an intention or you want to manifest something, and what didn't happen, what you dreamed of happening or wished that would happen or hoped that would happen, didn't happen, because what needed to happen happened. You have to be able to accept what happened. What comes up based on anything that you do is what's supposed to come up. Because it's based upon that narrative that your intention, the vehicle that powers your intention, is fueled by whatever energy we're at that point in time. So if, use that as an example. If I set my intention to something mundane, I want to lose weight. If I set my intention to lose weight, in the next couple of times I go out, everywhere that I go, I see something that I like to eat, but I know it's unhealthy to me. Am I getting upset that my intention, based on what I wanted to eat, based on my intention of what I'm seeing, what I want to eat, is challenging me to see if am I going to eat it or I'm not going to eat it? Am I going to eat that sandwich? Am I going to eat that? Am I going to eat this? Or am I going to accept the discipline that is showing me? It's showing me exactly what it is that has me in the position that I'm at. When we set these intentions and we set these affirmations, the first thing that's going to come up is the shit that has you where the fuck you at. So on the other aspect of that spectrum, if I'm sitting there like, okay, cool, I got to do my, man, like, why the ancestors ain't coming down here helping us against the 400 years of oppression and all these aspects and all this shit? Nigga, they not going to do that. Your whole aspect is to get out of here, not stay, not become attached to these things. That's why you're stuck in the attachment zone that you're attached in now anyway. Because you're expecting this grand thing to happen to where everything goes into this utopia of bullshit that's not gonna fucking happen. You set your tone and then build your space to match that tone. You make your physical match your spiritual aspiration, or whatever spiritual thing, whatever thing you want to pull down in energy wise. If you don't set the space to harbor that energy, then where the fuck do you think you're gonna end up at? In the same fucking position. You're gonna be that same person. I'm gonna light these candles and I'm gonna go hit the casino. I'm gonna go shoot some craps. I'm gonna go do this. You're gonna go in there and you may win some money and you may get a little bit of bread. But the next aspect is, what are you gonna do now that you got the money? One second, I gotta go use the bathroom. You say you need more money. You say you need more money, and then the same people that ask you for money every single week seem to pop up. Welcome to the aspects of learning your discipline, setting your boundary. If I need more of something, where the hell my lighter go? If I say I need to set my aspect for more money and I need more money, not only do I got to align myself right with my energy above, getting myself in balance so my wealth and my abundance is activated, but on the lower, on that physical level, I have to remove the things or the conduits that usually take away my energy or my money. I have to remove the attachments that usually are attached to my money or where my money goes. I have to refinance myself and put my budget back in order. I have to become intimately in tune with the word no. I have to become intimately in tune with my boundaries. This is how I cultivate my power. This is how I grow my power. This is how I take my power to the next level. It's not I have to work on these aspects. If I want to go to this level, I have to accept what I have to let go. I have to accept the letting go of the things that no longer serve me a purpose. The things that will drain me, the things that leave me confused, the things that leave me lost, or rather the things that are reflections of my lostness, my confusedness, my anger, my trauma. I have to let them shits go in order for me to actually sit there and be like, you know what? I'm in the best shape of my fucking life. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm doing what I desire to do. I'm creating how I desire to create. It's becoming easy for me to navigate through my spaces that I need to navigate. Shit ain't fucking hitting me the way it's usually hitting me around this time. And even when something does come down that fuck with me, I'm like, okay, cool. Because I'm removing the handicap. I'm removing the crutch. But you got to remove that crutch first. The most important part is removing the crutch. Removing the crutch that leaves you thinking based upon the doubt. And like if I sat here and that's like nobody, that's like the last aspects of my shadow work were my old brotherhood, the people that I used to hang around with all the fucking time. The reason that we hung out, the reason that we were around each other is because we all were stuck within an aspect that we were not dealing with. Most of the times when you're in a certain space, you're attached to the things that you're not dealing with. You're attached to others based on the things that they're not dealing with, or they're not fully submerging themselves into dealing with to move to the next level. They're not taking it, they're not in the aspect of taking it as serious as they need to be taking it. They're not sacrificing the way that they need to sacrifice. That gives you the reflection of what you're not sacrificing. That gives you the aspect of what you're not moving forward to do. These are those keynotes that are within your shadow work that you really got to fucking address. Because if you ain't addressing them, you're not becoming intimately in tune with yourself. It becomes this aspect where I think about it into this nature of a person being in an aspect of being in a healed space, and they're around others that are not healed. These people that not know how to charge themselves, or energy vampires, whatever the fuck you want to call them, that do not know how to charge themselves, they require you to stay in a state of lostness so you can continue going around them charging their shit. Even though they're not, and it don't even have to be the largest amount of a charge. That's why so many can be around you. That's why you can be populated with so many dead negative entities around you, because your energy, they don't require that much energy to do anything, to keep their self living. They don't require that much fucking energy. They just require a little bit of your anger, a little bit of your sorrow, a little bit of your pain, a little bit of this, that, and that. Boom. A little dash of this, and they're good. That's why even with them, they'll make distance when the energy actually starts, because this is what happens. Your energy, the longer you're around them, your energy dissipates. So the longer they're around you, their energy is going to rise, because you got to give something to get something. Keep the shit balanced. So if they're down here and you up here and you take your energy into that space, at a point in time, the aspects of their energy is going to seem to rise. You're going to think that it's rising, but you're actually getting lower. This is the aspect when you go into a space you ain't supposed to be. This is the aspect when you go to a homeboy house, homegirl house, friend house, whatever, and then you come back to your house and then you angry. I saged. I have my stones with me. Those are enhancements. They're programmed to see. You program your crystals and your stones to do certain aspects and do certain things. But if you keep going into the space, just like you can overload yourself and overthinking the doubts, you're going to go back to an old space of yourself. I had a big issue with myself. I had a big problem with myself of trying to make everybody good. I've said that before. I'm going to go deeper into it now. I was trying to make everybody good. I would literally slow down my shit, whatever the fuck I was doing, to make sure everybody was good. Because I was in that mentality, yo, everybody around me eats. They ain't got to, even if they ain't got no work. Now I'm in the mentality of I'm shifted from the worker mentality that we all gonna grind and we all gonna eat, even if one of us didn't pick up our weight. The strongest link, the weakest link is the chain shit type shit. I'm in the aspect of the owner, because I own my emotions. I own my outburst. I own everything that I do. I take accountability and responsibility for everything that I do. So in reflection of that, if I see others around me that are not within that space and they're not taking this information in, I make my separation. I'm not making the separation in it's not the separation in this cutting them off, because that's naturally going to happen anyway. If I'm giving them information, if I'm giving them light, I'm not challenging them. I'm already challenging them by giving them the light. They have to now challenge themselves to accept that light. They got to accept that aspect and allow that aspect of their infrastructure now to fall. Because now that you come to that point, it's just leveling your shit where you like, nigga, it don't matter what the fuck I say, nigga, I'm just going to do my own shit. I'm going to do my own shit. Now I'm in a space where it's like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm grooming my purposes. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I do natal charts, consultations, sessions, readings, record podcasts, do a late night, do a primetime show on Tuesdays, Facebook Live, do the God Hour show, do readings then. I'm doing everything, every space, every void that I had within myself that was empty, I'm now taking care of. I'm doing it myself. I filled those voids, because you're gonna come to a point where you're gonna have a void. You're gonna feel empty. You're gonna feel alone. You're gonna feel this aspect happen, but you need that space. Yeah, like it's a whole securing narrative once you actually allow yourself to set the boundaries for your security of your energy. It's not being selfish in the definition that people say selfish is. Because selfish means to become So selfish, I'm to become what? I'm becoming more secure. I'm setting my boundaries. I've set my standard. I put myself into a space to where if you want to come up here, if you want to deal with this, you got to come up here. You got to come to this level. I can't keep down there. Because you notice that every time you go down into a certain space, you end up paying for it. With your time, your energy, your mindset, everything you change. It's always going to bother others when you set your boundaries. When you truly set the tune of your boundaries and set yourself up right, it's going to piss off a lot of people. Hell, having the stuff like just being you, your true self, is going to set off a lot of fucking triggers in others. It's going to make people question themselves. But in the aspect of being attached to something, they don't know how to question themselves. They're not intimate within themselves. The biggest thing is going to be aspects of family. That's one of the biggest things, the aspect of family, because there's two different narratives of family. On one end of family, if you never had a close relationship with your family, like for me, my mother's side of the family, it was my mother and like my intermediate cousins and certain family members that I was rocking with, but we weren't really close, but we were rocking. On my pop side of the family, I never met my pop side of the family, but my father's side of the family, I met everybody. So there's this, if you never had the relationship, you're going to go through the shadow work of dealing with not having a relationship. And on the other end of that extreme, if you had the relationship, you're going to go through the aspects of what it was that made that relationship. So either way, you have to find that middle point. Because on one end, someone's going to be like, my mother didn't love me. If somebody can get locked to that aspect. My father left us when we were 6. That an unaddressed trauma, the developmental stage of where you were at whenever the trauma occurred, that's usually where you get stuck or locked within that space. This goes into the aspect when you think about motherfuckers saying that they're grown men or grown women. When they're grown men or grown women, but they're stuck in the mindset of a 12-year-old. They're stuck in the mindset of a 12-year-old. They're stuck in the mindset of the 5-year-old mentality because that's where the trauma was initiated. You have to be able to initiate. You have to be able to isolate where the trauma began. Learn from where that trauma began. That's what I do as a psychologist, occult psychologist. Actually, I isolate that space where that trauma began because until you isolate and bring acknowledgement to where it happened, everything that you're doing is transmuting through that trauma in that space. Yeah, you have to find that root. So somebody that, if something happened to, like if somebody's father or mother walked out on them when they were 12 years old, that's exactly what it is. So if that trauma happened, like my father, let's say I didn't meet my father until I was 12 going on 13. I didn't meet my real father until I was 12 going on 13. So everything that I did up until the point from 5, when I saw my pops and my moms get into it, I was already transmitting through that developmental phase to that level. So I was stunted in my growth based on being 5. So I was seeing things as a 5-year-old, even when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. So when I became 12 years old, then that aspect came, it was another fucking trauma. There was another event that I had to deal with. So now everything that's being transmuted through this trauma up here when I was 5 is now being transmitted through this. That energy is now being even more condensed going through this trauma now when I'm 12. So now I got double aspects of these two shadows or these two filters over these spaces of how I'm seeing the world based on that trauma. Not only based on that trauma, understanding that everything outside of me is a reflection of my environment. Now, actually before then, to go through the healing process, but we'll say now to bring it together, if I was still acting in that aspect of being 5 and trying to be the best thing for my mother and everything, not knowing the whole fucking story and not having forgiveness, and I'm going to this 12-year-old part, that's a conflict. Because now in my mind, I will create a scenario that the reason that they had an argument back here is because of what happened here. So now I created a whole other scenario that I'm about to live through. And I literally created a whole nother mindset that I lived through based on that level. So the argument my pops had with my mother at that point in time, I validated it by what happened when I was 12, when I met my father. The whole story came in through. I was like, damn, my mom is the villain. So then when it translated into 15, 16, 17, 18, going into the older aspects of my life, that's what I was transmuting, that pain, this original pain that's now morphed into something else and came into this space. So everything else that's happened now, external state of being, I'm distracted by because I'm not dealing with the shit that's happening in my life. I'm listening to people say, man, I ain't had my moms in the home. My mom was a single mother. My pops was a single father. I'm listening to these aspects and I'm like, man, I had both my parents in the house. I had 2 people in the house. So my definition was confused. That definition became the confusion. So as I'm dealing with it in my way, based on my identity, based on not actually dealing or finding that root to that problem, now when I'm moving forward, I'm moving through that energy space. So let's think about from 5 to 12, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 8 years. That's 8 years. That's 8 years of a time span for that trauma to fucking ferment and become something else. The only reason that it became something else is because it was not dealt with at that point in time. So since it wasn't dealt with then, and I didn't deal with it when I was 12, it wasn't until I was 18, 19 years old until I'm realizing every relationship that I'm getting in was based on not understanding the original relationship, that the first relationship that I saw. So when I came to the space of becoming aware of myself, I still had that handicap. Oh, pineapple coconut water is the shit. I couldn't understand aspects of myself. So then when I got into earlier relationships in my life, the relationships always started and ended the same exact way. They had the same beginning, middle, and end. It would start off nice and hunky-dory because it was based upon everything that happened. Then in the middle, when it came time to actually become intimate on the level that was not physical, that physical aspect, the physical intimacy was there. The physical byproduct of intimacy was there based on the original narrative of how it came together. But to sustain it, that was the challenge part because I wasn't intimate with myself. I wasn't healed. So I kept attracting unhealed individuals. Neither one of us was dealing with issues. Neither one of us was addressing the issues. And then if I addressed the issue or if the other one addressed the issue that we worked on in that aspect, then it became another challenge that still split apart the aspect because the original way that it came together was no longer there. So it split apart. Think about how your shit starts. How your shit starts is how your shit ends. I remember hearing that when I was little. If you started with communication, the relationship is going to die based on comprehension. Just going to say that. Yeah. If your relationship started with a physical aspect, it's going to die because you did not nurture the intimacy within that physical aspect. Because you were attached to the physical aspect. You were attached to money. You were attached. And this happens with a lot of things that's in that narrative of being attached to things. I'm attached to the way that I'm getting this. I don't realize why I'm getting it the way that I'm getting it based on the attention that I'm getting. So I guess this is how I'm supposed to do it. So I have a false sense of control. Whether it's positive or negative, you'll stay in a certain situation because you have a certain level of control. When we speak on that word, when we speak on that the aspect of control, it's the aspect of you know what's going to happen, so you know what to accept. You have accepted a certain level in that space. So if I've accepted this level based on what I'm getting from it, and I expect to get what I'm getting based on what I'm going through, my whole environment is now rooted within that. Now you walking around, you talking about niggas ain't shit and bitches ain't shit. Your job don't go good. The white man ain't shit. You walking around emancipating your emotional distresses and your traumas into other conduits in order for them ultimately to thrive. So you can have a reason to stay the fucking way that you are. So you don't really fucking grow. Which was already the original cause. You didn't grow past a certain point. So every time that you're challenged to grow past that point, since you don't remember the original cause, you don't know the corresponding you don't understand the corresponding adverse external states of being that you need to address. You don't know which ones you need to look at. That's the distraction. They don't have any power over you. This is shit that you haven't dealt with. That's the only thing that they have. Even the shit that they did implement. It's no more coerced. It's only coerced based on the stuff that's already within inside of you. It's already happened. That's why it was so easy to implant. That's why it was so easy to program. You thought it was that's why it was already easy to program. Because it was already set to a fucking tone. The moment that they made you realize that the moment that they were able to deify death into the aspect that there is no more is the moment that they shut your shit down. The moment that somebody can define your shit, that is death. The moment that somebody can define your energy, define what the fuck you are, it becomes death. Now it's fed through that aspect. And then you spend your entire time searching outside of yourself to try to fix it instead of actually looking within inside yourself. These are the biggest aspects of learning yourself. These are the biggest aspects of taking yourself past your identity, getting into the rejected aspects, understanding your shadows, and actually doing the fucking work. You need that separation. You're going to realize that family, the definition of family is the ones that support you within that aspect. And you start realizing that once you start really doing the fucking work, that the ones that you were related to, the friends that you call family were simply related to you based upon a trauma. Think about the old church ladies in the fucking houses where Deacon Sam is now saved, so we don't talk about his indiscretions with the little girls in the family or the little boys in the family. That's the one that you call your family. They're attached based on the trauma. They're related to you. They're now in relation to you. They're now within the theory of relativity based upon the trauma. The reason that you're around them is based upon the trauma that you have not dealt with, the sacrifice that you have not made. You think about your friends that are always there whenever something bad went down. After a while, you start thinking like, damn, every time something bad happened, you there. But when the good shit happening, you aren't there. It's partially because of what you program into the fucking space. You give them the bad aspects. You give them the negative aspects of your man. You give them the negative aspects of your chick. But then when they see your chick or they see your man, all they see is the physical aspect. They see because they're trying to formulate a perception of why you're still there. They're trying to formulate an aspect in their mind of why they're still there, why you're still there. Oh, that nigga must got a good job. The mundane physical byproducts. He must have a good job. He must got some good dick. Oh, he got the crib, or he got this. Oh, she must got the crib. That's why you still there. There's niggas right now living. There's niggas out here right now living with their fucking baby mothers. There's niggas out here right now. There's women and men right now that are certified homeless. Certified homeless. They're attached in bum-like relationships because they're using this person's insecurity or lack thereof boundary to feed upon for a lack of control. They're attaching to them because they're easy to control, because they're a reflection of them in an aspect. And this is what breaks down when you think about narcissistic behavior. And this was in Narcissist. The only reason something that can connect to you is because it's aspects of it are within inside of you anyway. They give you a whole different thought process when you're thinking about white people. When you're thinking about white people and they're evil and they're bad and they're the devil and they're evil and all this shit. In reality, they're the furthest aspect of the reflection of what you are. Because everything that they have acquired, you once had, and now you want it back. But they got it based on the intellectual aspect of property, what they knew, what they were told. They only can take it to a certain level. That's why you can have the conspiracy theory over. They perform rituals over and over and over and over and over again. I'm about to order a whole case of fucking reversible candles and just start lighting them shits for no fucking reason. And I'm gonna say the same thing every fucking time I light the fucking candle. All energy that is meant to be mine, all rituals that are meant to destroy, all things that are meant to destroy me, reverse and bring the energy back to me. That's the point I'm at now. Because that's all you're really needing to do. Do your work, reverse energy when you need to, and put yourself into a better space. That's your ultimate goal. Become the ultimate example. That way, when people come to you and ask you the question, you actually have the example to live by. I can live by every example. Nobody can tell me that I cannot sit in my living room for 3-4 hours out of a day and work on music for my podcast. No one can give me the excuse, man, it's hard to make music, it's hard to do this, it's hard to do that. I didn't know shit about fucking making music. I started with fucking loops. I knew what it needed to sound like based on me releasing and becoming open to the aspect of the space. Nobody can tell me that I cannot sit in my house, sit in my living room, and put out digital content from doing the lecture right now from the couch. Or if I do the God Hour show, I'm on that wall over there. If I do Meditate and Elevate, I'm on that wall over there in front of the Buddha tapestry. Because all I needed was my GoPro camera and my cell phone, link them up and then send the shit out. But it also takes you going outside of the aspect of expecting something and accepting what comes first, because you have to tune your craft. The things that are coming up are going to tune your craft and tune your talent. It's going to show you your purpose. It's going to help you cultivate your purpose. That way you can have those conversations. There was a point in time where I started doing video when I was doing lives back like earlier, like the mid 2018. Well, I wouldn't look into the fucking camera. I'd be looking off. I'd be days off somewhere and be like, yeah, da 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 da, look off. And then I learned my camera. I learned how to look into the camera. I learned how to direct myself to the camera. That's something that I had to learn. Nobody told me that. That was an aspect that I pulled down. That's something I had to humble myself to become open to that level in space. The more that I did it, the better I got at it. The more intimate I got with the camera, the more I got able to move and speak. Once I had that rhythm down pat, the information that I was at first applying, there's a whole video where I actually took the aspects of talking about fasting and setting goals and setting parameters. Thursday of this week, same day of the week as last year, everything that I said within that video, some of it I was already doing, the other stuff I was setting the intention to. In this space right now, I'm doing those things. Set that shit, and everything that came up, I dealt with. That's a major aspect when you start finding a root and you start healing yourself. Before I could even do that, there was stuff before that I had to deal with to even get to that space. There are the cheat codes, but the cheat code's only going to the cheat code's only going to work for so long. You're starting to notice that the shit ain't the shit that, just like, here's a reflection point. Just like you noticing the rituals, just like you noticing the distractions, just like you know how to decode some shit, that's a reflection of how fast you're actually fucking moving. That's a reflection of you defeating the conflicts within yourself. So if you're looking and you still see the conflict, or you're still picking a side, we got to be Black Lives Matter, we got to be pro this, Black Lives Matter need to be with all black people, and this got to do this, this, and this, and you still choosing sides, and you still see the distraction's always been there. That's just like somebody saying the cops been beating on us. They just now got footage. They just now got cameras. It's always already been there. This shit didn't just pop up. And then this is when you start understanding that the motherfuckers that were also family that supported you, even in that conscious collective, are not going to support your new heights and new level. They're going to change their tones. They've been changing their tones. Meanwhile, you still got niggas out on the fucking, you still got grown ass men in costumes on fucking yelling in this fucking streets, saying the same thing, that if it resonates with you, that means you ain't bypassed it yet. I look at debates and I laugh at them. That's my fucking comedy for TV during the day. While I'm in here doing like natal charts, or I'm doing when I'm doing knocking out natal charts or setting up for another session, that's my laugh time. The very little bit of the information that comes out of it, I get it. I don't even think about when I get it. But other than that, that's my laugh time. Because I'm looking at I'm like, I never could take myself to that level. I never could sit there and stay stuck in that phase of that narrative. That's not going to help me grow. That's not going to help me succeed. That's not going to help me become more intimate with myself. They doing the same arguments that they've been doing for the last 6-7 years. They're all saying that they're doing something, but I haven't seen something happen. I'm in a space right now where it's like, now I'm in the mindset of invest. I've always had that mindset, but it was always covered or under these layers of me not being able to discipline myself enough to actually study. But now I'm in the aspects of, now that I've came to a certain level in my studies, now I can actually go to that point. It's like looking at, think about 60 cents a day can save this child. When the last time you seen a 60 cents a day can save a child commercial? You don't need to see it anymore, because now you have other individuals that came into that space and they're using the same narrative under a different set of imagery, under a wave of light. But are they really doing anything? So while you're sitting there waiting for something to happen, something's happening. Since my mind is busy looking at that, I'm not looking at what the fuck I need to deal with. I'm not tapped in. I'm moving to that different fucking algorithm inside of my mind. That is a major key. When you heal, when you in that aspect of healing, you'll start saying things. You will start setting the tone like, it wasn't that I was in bad relationships. They were just reflections of the bad relationship I had with myself. And that shit feels good to be able to say that to yourself. You'll say it a couple of times because at first you're gonna feel bad about it. You're gonna try to be like, no, it's not me. No, it's not me. That's your ego telling you, no, it's not me. No, it's not me. It's them. But the longer that they're into that space, you actually are becoming that energy within that space. So when it comes to the aspect thinking about family and the family issues and the family dramas and the family traumas and these niggas, exactly, you're taking your power back. These family issues that have nothing to do with me, they've been doing that shit for motherfucking years. That shit's always been there. I just couldn't see it because I was in it. I didn't heal from the aspect that had me locked in it. My thought forms fed that space. Your thought forms, your negative self-talk is the shit you think as a human to your God self. The negative self-talk is the shit you say based on the human narrative of yourself. That's what it is. You sitting there in that space and you telling yourself things that are based upon the human thought. This is why I haven't gotten this, and this is why this hasn't done this. And then you get into these bum ass arguments with yourself because you ain't arguing with nobody. The argument that you're saying in the external is the one that you're having with the conflict with the side of yourself. Surprise. You only having an argument with yourself. You only fighting yourself. That's why when you go around certain individuals and they look at you and walk the fuck away, you like, wait, why aren't you arguing with me? Why aren't you fighting this case? Why aren't you doing this? Because it serves no fucking purpose for me. You'll get over it. You realize what the heck you said, and you realize where it's coming from. That is the biggest ego death that a lot of people need to face, is removing that crutch. Because a lot of people think that they're in an aspect of their actual spirituality, but they're simply only aware. I can tell you this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. If you ain't done the work, you ain't gonna get what the fuck you want, what you desire. If you ain't done the fucking work, you ain't getting what the fuck you desire. If you're not allowing the separation to happen, you ain't gonna get what you desire. You gonna get what's gonna seem like the greatest thing on the day, greatest thing on earth in this realm, but it's really just gonna be another fucking Tuesday. There's things people can say, and this is not in transit with the aspect. This is going out of the aspect of attachment and coming into connection. Because when good things happen on the what would be like the mundane level, and you're around it, you still celebrate it. This gives you the ability to have the compassion to celebrate it. So if somebody gets an unemployment check and you're like, the first thing you say out of your mouth is, Man, it must be nice to get an unemployment check. It must be nice to get food stamps. It must be nice to get that little check from the government because I don't get shit. I make too much. Yo, dumbass should be saying, nigga, congratulations. You coming up in the world. Because that allows you to attach to the energy. That allows you to be able to now, you're in a space where something is positive happening. So now that whatever intention you have set or you're going to set, it has that positive aspect in your mind. And it's not based on the human narrative that you're going to be sitting there, yo, man, all these motherfuckers getting unemployment checks, man, I need to get some better money at my job. That's not the aspect. Everybody's coming up and everybody's prospering in their own way. I'm in alignment for my prosperity. And what comes up is what you're supposed to work on. Those same individuals, paycheck get cut off the next couple weeks. Their paycheck get cut off. They lights get cut off because they weren't saving any fucking money. And now you sitting there, you hustling, you saving your money. You ain't focused on the aspect of something happening externally. You ain't focused on the status quo. You ain't focused on what black people are doing. You ain't focused on the human aspects. They doing exactly what they supposed. They getting exactly what they supposed to get based on where the fuck they at. You want something more, you got to take yourself into that level of discomfort. You want to be in that space of discomfort, you got to allow yourself to go into that space of discomfort. Stop allowing others to dictate or become the conduits for your doubt. Stop allowing others to become the conduit for your doubt of your doubtful energy. Because that's what you're giving them. You're giving it to them based on your doubt. You're mad, you're angry, you're upset, you haven't dealt with this, you haven't dealt with that. Guess what? In their own exact aspect, they haven't dealt with something. They're not sacrificing. They're not putting in the work. They're not doing what they need to do. So guess why you're still around them? Because apparently there's something that you're not truly doing. You have to accept that shit. You have to become intimate with your fuck-ups. You got to become intimate with your fuck-ups just like you become intimate with the positive shit. Balance. You got to become intimate with why you get angry all the time. You have to become intimate with that. Sit in a room by yourself. Cry your eyes out. Throw shit at the fucking wall. Do what the fuck you need to do to bring that shit up to the surface so you can deal with it. Don't create an aspect in your environment that you go feed it into. Because once you feed that thought form, it needs to exist. Once you set the tone that Oshun is angry with you, you got to keep her angry with you. Now you got to make her happy. You can't even realize that it's a higher aspect of yourself anyway. So you get stuck in a process, in a narrative, trying to make that shit sustain itself. Allow yourself to grow. Allow the discomfort to happen. Allow the separations to happen. Because what you're going to see is the things that are meant to be around you are true reflections of you in the aspect of your growth are going to be the most positive, are going to be the most truest sustainable things that are going to challenge you the most in positive aspect, not negative. They're going to force you to check your emotions. They're going to force you to check your disciplines of yourself. They're going to force you to do the things that you need to do. The things that are not going to force you, those are the things that are related to you based upon that trauma once again. Those are the things that are associated with you based on the thought form. They've been in my life forever, ever since every relationship that I was in went bad, and they were always there for me. Okay. What about all the good relationships? Where were they at during the good relationships? Oh, they never liked any of them. Oh, okay. So what you're saying to me is, what you're saying is that they stay sustaining based on bringing up the old narratives. So they kept you comfortable in being disassociated with the love of yourself. So that thought form, based on not dealing with issues, based on that one thought form that's based upon the conduits of a narcissistic attitude or a narcissistic archetype, took your positive energy based on its negative energy and created another negative narcissistic archetype. So you created another narcissist. You created another abusive aspect in your life. Take motherfuckers being abused when they were younger and living through that narrative. Now that they come to a space to where they're continuously being abused, but now they don't understand that the abuse is coming. It's not based on the original narrative or the original image, since they could not define the original point of trauma or the root of where the original abuse came from. That abuse now transmuted through everything that they touched because it was a part of their environment. It was a part of their shadow. So every time they came to the light, of course, that shadow now lives. So if I've not done the aspects of healing and I'm still attached to that trauma, I'm addicted to that. I'm addicted to that energy that came from that space. I'm addicted to what came from that space. So when you come into a healed space, or somebody that's in balance, or somebody that's healed, I remember my first healed relationship. I remember coming into my first relationship when somebody was actually healed. And it was like, it was great because, yeah, we didn't go past a certain point, but that one person was like, you need to have that conversation with your mother. At this point in time, I was not fucking with my mother. I wasn't fucking with none of my fucking family. But she said, you need to have that relationship with your mother. You need to have that conversation with your mother. She had a great relationship with her mother. So her telling me that, I'm like, all right, cool. So I remember I had the conversation with my mother. I had to seize the aspect of seeing that it was going to be something great come from the relationship. What happened was the bonds, the aspects that had to be addressed in that space, I was able to address in that space. I was able to bring these things to the surface. I was able to have that conversation. I didn't have this false sense of control. I didn't have this. I already forgiven her anyway. I already did the aspect because I was like, she was like, forgive yourself, forgive her for whatever she did, and had a conversation with her. And I remember having a conversation with her, my mother, and brought everything onto the table, said my pieces, said everything that I needed to say. And as I noticed, the more when we were having our conversation, we were talking more and more. It wasn't based on it being a good relationship or feeling good. It was actually a better relationship based on where it was at. I accepted that the relationship and had compassion that the relationship became better. So what she represented at that point in time, the definition of being my mother, the nurturer, the supporter in that space, now that I healed that aspect within myself, I can now use, I was no longer acting in the wounded archetypes that I created based upon the feminine aspects of the feminine aspect of energy that's within me. So I did that work. I did that when I was doing that work. I was repairing and lifting the feminine energy within myself to bring myself into balance. I remember after that conversation with my mother, that was like the first time. That was like after that time, I actually started getting channels. And I started talking to my grandmother, started talking to aunts, started talking to certain individuals. So that was the result, or one of many results that happened within that space. Fixing relationships with my brothers, fixing relationship with my brother, fixing relationship with my pops, fixing these relationships ultimately helped me unlock the other higher aspects of myself. I wasn't looking at things based on a narrative, and I went through that angry ass conscious nigga phase, but that shit was so in fucking private that nobody really knew. I thank myself every fucking day that I did not come up and do lectures and do my work, do the stuff that I do based from the angry conscious nigga phase. Because I honestly believe that I would be like one of these hotep ass niggas. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I'll be like one of these hotep ass niggas. Saying beloved every 16 seconds while talking cash shit. Similar to your grandmother sitting back and saying God bless after cursing your ass out and saying God bless at the end. You really can't say nothing after because it's like, oh shit, she said God bless. I guess I can't say nothing. I'd be stuck within that narrative. We have to become uncomfortable being attached to a certain narrative. We have to be uncomfortable. We have to become uncomfortable. We have to become comfortable with this aspect, especially something like all they do is take our stuff and appropriate our stuff. Nigga, we gave them the answers in the beginning anyway. They were our creation. Hell, in the fucking Bible, it tells you that, nigga, we were fucking resentful for creating the motherfuckers. Every creation story tells you that we resented making them. We were like, oh shit, we fucked up. So when you looking at your life, you have to look at it like, oh shit, I fucked up. I expected something from this space and didn't accept what came up. So I didn't learn from it. So until I go back to that space, to when I was 5 years old, I would have still been stuck in the 5-year-old mentality moving forward. I would have been stuck in that warped 12-year-old mentality moving forward. I would have been stuck in that 16-year-old mentality moving. I would have been stuck in these mentalities moving forward. I would have been stuck in the mentality. And then still trying to, and all I'd be doing is digressing, emancipating my emotional digressions and my pains through those aspects. Because you can find, oh shit. Because you can find within any amount of information something that makes your shit the truth. But if I omit key aspects within that to make that my truth, I take out either the beginning. In order to make something your truth based on an unhealed aspect of being attached to something, you got to take out the beginning, the middle, or the end. We have the understanding of the beginning, the middle, and the end. That's us. We know the beginnings, the middles, and the ends. When you listen to things, when you listen to a conversation with a person that is very traumatized, you can hear them in their voice, because even you have probably said it. You'll take out the beginning of the conversation. You'll either take out the middle of the conversation, or you'll try to make yourself. You'll take out whatever part of the conversation you need to take out to make yourself either the victim or the victor, to whatever purpose that it serves within that space. So you'll have a whole conversation with somebody and be talking because you're not speaking. It's not comprehensive because there's pieces missing. So when that person looks at you like, yo, let me get the beginning of the conversation, I need to hear their side. Because there's always three sides to the story. There's your side, there's their side, and then it's the true aspect of the story. Both parties take away pieces from the. Both parties are going to take away pieces from the story to make themselves either be the victor or the victim. On this side and on that side. Done that shit unconsciously forever. You'll have a whole conversation with your homegirls and tell them everything bad about your man. And tell them nothing good. So the moment that nigga does something good and they see it, they're like, oh, maybe he ain't all that bad. And then you have that one homegirl that want to sleep with your man. Same thing for niggas. We do that shit. We've done it. We'll say all these good things about our chick and then wonder why in the aspect do everybody want to deal with our chick. Why the fuck would you even get mad after a certain point in time? Why? What is the reason for me to be mad except there's an internal conflict inside of myself. I teach this when I talk about it. When I talk about jealousy, when I talk about envy, all of those are internal mechanisms. Someone's asked me, can a jealous person be in love with something? Yes, they can. They very much well can be. But it's from the aspects based on control or attachment. Can a narcissist love? Yeah, but it's based on control and attachment. It's based upon an imbalance. It's always most aspects within this space are based upon, and when you're unhealed, all of your relationships would be based upon attachment. That's why I always stress that whenever you get with somebody and you do something that's normal, make that shit normal. Let them know that is normal. Reinforce that it is normal. The normal aspects of what you're doing. This is what's normal. Because whether their ego is accepting it, when they get into an emotional, they get sad, they happy, they joyous, that allows that shit to actually penetrate into their subconscious. If you get it, take two aspects of a relationship where the nigga ain't shit or the chick ain't shit or both of them ain't shit for some strange reason. When you guys came together, I'm putting stones in my fucking cane, by the way. I've been thinking about that the entire time as I'm rubbing it to the eyes. But take that aspect, you get into a relationship and then you have all these aspirations and dreams and hopes and shit. And then y'all get together. And now y'all are together. And y'all have been intimate with each other. Y'all done the do a couple of times. Think about the aspects of your unhealed self and the aspects of their unhealed self are coming together within that union. So take that further out. Yeah, I'm getting cut. Yeah, I'm gonna get the. I think I'm gonna do red. I don't know what colors I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make them so they're interchangeable. Just depending on my mood. I like my cane like this. But take this aspect into your mind and go further out. Based upon your trauma, you created an entire environment. You created an entire environment for you to sustain your entire existence in. The reason that you are the way you are. I personally am taking it as a campaign over these last couple of months to make as much shit obsolete as possible as a chaos being. I'm going to make shit the most that this is the way I am shit. That shit that's a no-fly zone in my boundaries. This is the way I am based on this. Okay. And I'm going to be able to reinforce it. Everything that that unhealed worker mindset, the unhealed slave mindset, the struggle, the The struggle, the oppression mindset, that's all in the unhealed slave. You're a slave to your emotion. Your trauma or felony, your trauma is a felony, like a mark on your record, may stop you from getting a job. So it may stop you from being seen and worked the way that you want to be worked or the way you want to work. But it will not stop you from becoming an owner. It will not stop you from getting an LLC or branding yourself the way that you want to be seen as based on your connection to yourself. That's a key aspect in you moving forward and you actually growing, becoming that owner, accepting your responsibilities, accepting your accountability in where you're at, not where the original. Even if your mother wasn't in your life, you have to come to terms with the why in acceptance, not in to reject it or say no, we don't understand, but in the aspect of understanding from that point of view. Because most of these conversations that I've had my clients actually speak when they have those conversations with their parents, with their mother, whoever hurt them or whatever it may be, I always say they're going to give you some cockamamie answer to why they did what they did. Accept their answer. Because the answer is not meant to be debated. The answer is meant to set the tone for what you do next. So if they have that cockamamie answer such as, I was young and I was dumb, or Jesus forgave me, then you say, okay, cool, I forgave you. Yeah, I forgave you. It's going to take their head for a loop. They ain't really going to think about what the fuck did the bitch say. And then you don't go about your business. You set your new boundaries. But you got to be able to go through it to set your boundary. Because if not, you're going to be sitting there in that same space every single day of the fucking week, mad, upset, still holding on to something that happened to your ass 15 years ago. And this goes with all aspects of trauma. Each trauma is custom made to your energy. The more powerful the trauma, usually the more powerful your energy. That's why the trauma happened. That is the best way to accept it. The harder the trauma, the more powerful your energy. Because got pulled into your fucking space. If you can when you deal with it, when you release, watch what happens. I've done 7 shadow readings this week. I did 7 shadow readings this week. Bringing shit to the surface. Having conversations that they've never had with themselves. Because I'm coming from a space of being healed. Once you humble yourself and start healing yourself, you now have set the boundary based upon being healed and based on being humble to yourself. So you can say whatever you want. You can speak whatever you want. But in order for them to get that information, they got to be as humble as you are to be able to speak it. So if you speak from a humble place, they have to meet you with humility. If you speak from a space of anger, they're going to meet you with anger. They're going to meet you at whatever level it is that's going to make them comfortable. So you have to go above it and actually speak at the level that's going to make them uncomfortable. That's why most shit makes that's what makes you need the believer to understand why you're the knower, why you're becoming the knower. Their strength in their belief is the reflection of your strength in your knowing. So you know you're doing something right when it is going to be a conflict. because the conflict is now being exposed. Their conflict in not accepting it is based on your conflict on accepting it. So you cancel it out. Two negatives cancel each other out. It pushes them, it naturally is going to push them away. Most times we get attached and we want to keep bringing shit to us, but you like, why I can't make no more money? Why can't I be happy? Because you keep attracting, because the energy that you're putting out is attracting based on the filters that you haven't worked on yet. That's balancing yourself out. That's bringing yourself into the space like, nigga, I'm good. Like, I don't got to worry about shit. 1 second. Ugh. The more honest you are with yourself, and you are, the more honest you become with yourself, the more open to the honesty you are with yourself, the more honesty. I'm reading my note as I do it. All right. The more honest you are with yourself, the more you're able to accept the honesty, the truth. The more honest you are with the truth of yourself, the more open you become to accepting the honesty and the truth of others. You stop looking at others and trying to see them in the best light. You see them in the truest light. You see them in the truest light, and you actually start seeing how it is. One of the biggest things that happens when we're thinking about being attached to something or staying attached to something is that we try to see them in the same light that we are in, and then we put our light into them. You'll put your light into a dead-end relationship. You'll put your light into a dead-end job. You'll put your light into this space and then try to create it to be, okay, cool, this is why I'm here. This is why so many people will go years and years and years at a fucking job, just like they're being years and years and years into a bad relationship, because they have not, because you have not created that the intimate infrastructure with the relationship with yourself. So if you haven't created an intimate relationship with yourself, how can you expect anybody to do that aspect for you? Because you stuck on. Because a lot of people get stuck in this aspect of, because I'm doing this, or this is where I'm at, or this is this and this is this, then this is how it should be. I want to be at this level. I want to be seen this way. But in reality, are you really at that level to be seen that way? Or are you only looking at the external aspect of what it is, and you're not really attaining to what you need to be at that level? Are you really ready for that level of light? Are you really ready for that level of light? Because if you're not, you will become distorted within that space. Your thoughts will become distorted if you're not ready for that level. Stop trying to fucking rush yourself. Do what you need to do in your space. If your space requires 3 years, take them 3 years to yourself. Don't worry about what happens around you. If something separates and goes on this way over here, that was one of the biggest things for me. Sitting in a space and actually sitting there like, you know what? I can't deal with this. I'm not dealing with this, this, and this. And I set my boundaries and I move forward. If it's meant to be within the space, then it'll be back in the space. If it's not, it's not. There is no fighting myself back and forth. Maybe I can go back and tell them this, or maybe I can go back and tell them this. I now, it's like you come to a point where you no longer have this need to say things that are now redundant to your growth. You no longer have to say it anymore. You don't have to speak on that anymore. You put out all the information that you need to put out in that space. It's up to them to go grab that information that you left back there. I use the example of when I was practicing speaking, when I was practicing giving out information, when I was still training and learning and giving out certain aspects of information, those times when I was having those conversations with certain individuals and they weren't listening, I didn't mark it off as, see, my people are lost. I looked at it as they're not ready for that level of light. I'm not simplifying it enough for them. I haven't learned how to simplify that energy yet. I haven't learned how to synthesize that stream for them to actually be able to understand it. Or if I did simplify that stream of information for them to understand it, they're not ready for it. So as I kept doing this and I kept growing my shit and then launching all of my stuff, now my price is based upon my works. I set the tone based upon my works in my life. If you are not willing to sacrifice, if you're not willing to set that, pay that price, then you can't be in this space. Simple and plain. If you're not willing to go to these parameters based upon my level that I've healed myself, and I can let you know, I can tell you the things that I see in you that are not based on an unhealed aspect, especially being a seer, being a fucking intuit, being a seer, being an empath, being the things that I am. You're not ready for that level of light. It doesn't make it false. That's my fucking truth. I live in my truth. I'm compassionate. I'm connected. I'm intimate with my fucking truth of myself. I know my abilities. I know my worth. I know these things. I put things around me that reinforce those aspects. If you don't see it, then you don't see it yet. You may never see it. And I'm willing to accept that on all sides. Are you willing to accept that on all sides? Some people will connect to you based upon your energy. They don't even know why they're attracted to you. They're attracted to you simply based upon just off your energy. And if you do not know how to set those boundaries within your energy, or you still have if you have a trace of guilt, a trace of doubt, that's what they're going to connect to. If you have aspects within your auric field that you have clouds or stagnant spots in your auric field, that's how they're going to get to you. They're going to acknowledge the shadow and you're going to feel bad. You have to come to a level in yourself where you're sitting there like, we can discuss your problems, but that'd be like the first, maybe the second conversation. But by our third or fourth conversation, we're going to have to start talking about some solutions. You can't keep coming around me talking about your girl ain't shit. You can't keep coming around me talking about your man ain't shit. You can't keep talking. You can't keep coming around me talking about this same shit. My job ain't shit, but you about to go there tomorrow. I just needed to vent. Nah. That's toxic as fuck. Because now I became your conduit to come vent to, but you're not changing. So that means I got to create a space in my mind to hold on to your compartments of your venting. Nah, I'm not doing it. Yes, it is. It's a very exhausting tactic. It becomes exhausting as fuck because you sitting there every fucking day of the week. You know, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. they gonna come over and they gonna say the same shit to you, and you gonna be sitting there like, all right, yep, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, what you about to do to change it? He need to change. She need to change. If you cannot accept change, no, wait, yeah, that's right. If you cannot accept change in another individual, it means you can accept the change in yourself. You have not accepted change in yourself. The moment that you sit here and you're sitting here judging others, you're releasing aspects into the thought form about yourself. So think about the aspects of calling the white man the devil. That means somewhere within inside you is a dark aspect that you are not acknowledging. The only difference between them and you is that they're showing it and you're not. You're not willing to tap into it. Stop with the bullshit of we're loving and we're not warriors and we're not fighters. Because last time I looked at the temple walls, they had martial arts, weapons, learning weaponry, martial arts. You got to accept both sides. You got to accept all of this shit. You got to accept the keys and the locks that you unlock with those keys. You got to accept that shit in your life. This is about acceptance. Acceptance leads to your fucking forgiveness. Forgiveness leads to your understanding. Your understanding leads to your compassion. Your compassion leads to your healing. Not allowing things to affect you the way that they used to affect you. Learning how to move within that space. The more and more I heal, the younger and younger I become. Because I'm not letting death into my space. I'm not letting the thought form in my mind to fester and become the bacteria and become the sickness. So I ain't got to worry about being sick. So I don't feed the aspects externally of being sick or being unhealthy. That's my reason for being plant-based. Some people use plant-based as an aspect like you become plant-based and that's the aspect. No, it's not. It's not. I love being plant-based because I'm reinforcing my body for the work that I got to do. Does that mean I won't eat a cheese stick from Little Caesars? If it's there, and sure. I'm not shutting myself down from anything. If it's something there and it's in the space, then sure, I'll partake of that. Because I understand that it's energy. My body's reinforced to the aspects of where that's not going to hurt me. I'm stronger than that. I have discipline to just do just one. I have discipline just to do this once a week. That goes into the aspects when you think about you putting food on the fucking altar and then somebody says they want fucking chocolate cake. One of my aunts loves chocolate fucking cake. At first, yeah, I would get the slice of chocolate cake, a lemon meringue pie, whatever dessert they like, until I learned how to make the shit fucking plant-based. Once you have acquired the information, once you learn the spell, you're able to manipulate it for your own works. You're able to use it for your own. Same aspect with music. Why are you upset with? There's these aspects that we are attached to based upon the narrative of trying to stay within a certain space when it's simply meant to be understood. Like someone can sit here and say they hate the fucking Cardi B song. I done made so many remixes to that song in my fucking head, it's ridiculous. So there's nothing for me to hate about it. Man, it's going against our little girls and this, and this. So why aren't you using it as a teaching tool? That shit becomes common sense. It's like, so why aren't you using it as a teaching tool? Why aren't you using that as a point of reference to actually be able to have a conversation? Because that's what it's there for. Instead of grabbing the external and trying to shut it down, why don't you use it to your advantage? Because I watched the Cardi B interview and she said she don't even allow her daughter or allow culture to even listen to her music. So what does that tell you? If she can set that parameter and boundary, why can't you? Because you stuck on the external. You attached to the narrative. You're attached to the conspiracy. You're attached to the agenda because you get all of your shit that you need through the agenda and through the conspiracy. You get off on saying that it was an agenda and feeling like you can decode something. I'm not saying that shit cannot be decoded. I'm not saying that it's not a practice that you should learn, that you should not learn, because you should. But once you understand it, once you understand decoding, you can actually start encoding shit. Okay, that's all a ritual is encoding. That's all setting your mantras to and your intention to is encoding. So once I've learned how to decode, I now know how to encode. So any ritual that comes up, I now know how to encode. I now know how to encode my program into that ritual, said ritual, so I can get the energy. And 9 times out of 10, the energy, this is the thing, the energy ain't theirs anyway. They can't harness it. They need you to harness it so they can feed through your ass. So once I've learned how to decode a conversation with somebody always talking about some negative shit, eventually I'm like, you know what? If this really is something that I need to deal with, I'm going to go have a conversation with the other person and get the other side of the story. And then I'll take it into my own consideration if I'm going to go forward with this conversation. Build your boundaries. Stop getting tired trying to make everybody else fit your shit. They ain't meant to. Okay, if they were meant to, they'd be there. Stop putting yourself in this space where you're trying to acquire something based on the mundane level. Get your energy in order. Remove the handicap. Remove the crutches. None of this shit is meant for you to have to keep doing over and over and over again. I said it before, like, my candles are set for an entirely different purpose than the traditional purpose because I've learned the science. I've learned those sciences. I put myself into that space to learn the science and I learn how to apply that algorithm. That's that key. That's enlightenment. It sounds cool for some people to walk around and yell Hotep and break down a couple of words and say a couple of words after Grand Rising, but then you start speaking English afterwards. It's like, what's the purpose? Did that make you some money? And then you start noticing sometimes these people are saying that shit just to keep you involved into their space. Keeping you attached, making you intimately and fall in love with their bullshit so they can exist. The shit over. Your aspect of, I swear I need to set business hours. I need to set business hours. Unhealed attachments become the stems and the breeding grounds for your addictions and your escapes. Once you understand that you are connected to everything, you accept you are connected to everything, you now learn how to intimately learn the intimacy of your connection to everything outside of the narrative of what is good and bad. You go from positive, now you're in positive to negative. You go to what serves you and what does not serve you. You go to the aspect of not what to think, but how to think. Once you're in this chart line of how to think, positive and negative, the correspondence, this is how you find correspondence. This is how you create the ritual. This is how you tap into rituals. This is how you decode shit. This is how you actually remove the handicap. It's only meant, this book, for example, I'm just holding up a random book. This book, with all the messages and meanings, for example, angel numbers, the message and meaning behind 1111 and other number sequences. This is only meant to reinforce what you're already about to learn. This is a reinforcement. It's a guide or a reinforcement. Because once you see all the numbers and all the different combinations, after a while, you start creating your own combinations. That's the major key to learning and growing. Finding the root, as I set up this reading. Yeah, I'll do that later. Finding the root to taking yourself to your next level. That's your key. That is your purpose. That's one of your first purposes. Using that energy to allow yourself to go to the next level, that is your main purpose. Everything outside of that can become a distraction if you become attached to it because you're lacking intimacy in a certain aspect of your life. You can get attached to a motherfucker saying the most beautiful things to you, and then when they stop saying it, because the reason that you got so used to somebody saying something so nice to you because you weren't used to hearing it, at a point in time, you have to start saying it to yourself. Do not depend on somebody to give you something that you're not giving yourself first. Everything from your happiness to your wholeness, your completeness, all of these aspects are the aspects that are within. These are all translated through the definitions of the understandings of the information that you take in. The more that you start applying it, the higher that you go into yourself, into your space. You learn, you grow, you become more intimate, you become more attached, you become more connected. You understand your power. You're no longer looking for control or fighting for control. You're no longer picking a side. You're growing. Remove that crutch. Remove the crutch. Remove your handicap. Learn your handicap to remove it. If I had 3, I would juggle. I can't juggle. Yeah. While I'm about to give y'all that spill, because this is the end. Sorry for those false restarts in the beginning. I didn't sigil my computer, so when the Wi-Fi went crazy, it was because it wasn't ready for that impact of energy. This that question, everybody. If it's your first time, second time, your first time, this is the question and answer period. It does not have to be on any other topics. It can be on any other topic. You have questions about shadow work. You have questions about services, asking about services, reading, setting up a reading, setting up a consultation. I am running a special on consultations. I'm running it's a $65 service. The beginning of the consultation, we start with a shadow reading. I do a shadow reading. From the shadow reading, we bring clarity into the aspect. Then we build based on that. Then we go forward. Maybe you might need some light life coaching or some guided meditation setup, or maybe there's aspects of traumas that you're not sure of how to pull out, and that's the aspect when I do the therapy and the counseling. That's what I do. That's what I do. So yeah. But this week's episode on the God Hour podcast, we got into the aspects of rejection. Yeah, we got into the aspects of rejection. Rejecting the aspect of learning how to accept the rejection of no, and learning how to accept the rejection of stating and setting your no based on your boundaries. Going out of the aspect of this is who I am, shifting out of the aspect into the aspect of understanding, becoming the unhealed worker to become the healed boss in your life, to become your ultimate star player. Understanding your roadmaps, and everything down here is a tool. Everything down here is a tool. Everything down here for you to learn from. Everything down here is something that you can learn from. But it is your choice whether you learn or you come back down here again with baby brain. I tell people all the time, I don't plan on coming back down here with baby brain. God Hour Podcast is available on multiple platforms: Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, Breaker, iHeartRadio. It's available on the podcast streams on the channel. If you're interested in services or setting up services, GodaCoAlchemistLLC.com, or you can inbox me directly via Facebook at RockHollowNeges. You can DM me directly on Instagram at Papa_Lucy666. You can leave a comment in a video if you are subscribed. If you haven't subscribe, share, like, let the knowledge do what it's supposed to do. You can leave a comment under one of the videos. If you watch a video and it resonates with you, leave a comment under the video. And whatever way that you need to get to the next level, there's always going to be that space there. There's always going to be that space for you to do it. You just have to become humble to your heart. You have to be humble to understand and listen to your soul. Listen to your soul. Let your soul take control and feed your soul. Ultimately. I just want to know. But that's the major key for you. Everything from natal chart analysis to readings. The consultation is the $65 joint. We do the shadow reading. Spiritual babs, spiritual teas. I'm working on the spiritual teas now. I'll be dropping those soon. Drawing and awakening rituals. All aspects. If you have a question about a service that you do not see on the website, drop me an email, and if I do it, I just haven't posted certain things to the website yet. But I just want to see you fucking be great. That's the main aspect and the main key. We're two aspects of the universe having that conversation. If it's challenging you to think, it's challenging your comfort, it's challenging your complacency, it's challenging the aspects of your old self. It's up to you to take that next step. And Papa Lucy is here to help, aiding you across that threshold to your higher self. God, this person will not stop emailing Oh, that's how I do it. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. Oh my goodness. Oh. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. All right. Oh, well, yeah. Y'all could be anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to tune in to tap out because something in you led you to this space. Just be fucking great. I got 2 readings I got to do, and I got some other, yeah. But be fucking awesome. Be fucking great. Become that fucking monster. Allow yourself to become the monster. Allow yourself to become the villain. Because that's what you're gonna need to do in order to separate from your aspects of your humanity. Yeah. That's all I got. I love you. You love us. I'll share.